All right, so let's start on your cases. And I'll start with someone that gave me a letter here. This is faster. This is liver cancer. Hey, real sunshine, good. 66-year-old male. Started with Hep C. All right, so anytime you're diagnosed with hepatitis, what's hepatitis? Inflammation. Any itis is inflammation of whatever. We know inflammation as acidosis because we're spot on with what we know. We're not, we want the facts. Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. So this guy's branch of his tree, the liver, is really backed up. Well, what else can you assume with this? The rest of his body's backed up. His bowels are definitely backed up interstitially. Probably the pancreas. Let's see. He's on thyroid meds.
Which ones? Hypo?
I didn't say.
Hypo. Hypo.
Oh, well, if he's on thyroid meds, you can about assume it's hypo because hyperthyroid is dealt with totally different. Extraction. I thought, they say we're, dumb and stupid or whatever they call us. But I mean, when you have tissue that's hyperactive and your solution is just cut a part of it off until it gets to where you want it to be, I don't know where to place that. Do you? I don't know where to place that kind of thing. Oh, it's overactive. We'll just cut a piece off it off. You'll be good. I don't know where to place that in my thinking.
In the toilet.
It's crazy. This. Since his 20s, lymphoma cancer. God, in his 20s, holy crap. In the early 1990s, kidney issues. Well, no kidding. That's where this all started in the first place, isn't it? Here you're going to see this redundantly. You're going to see this all the time. It's always the friggin' kidneys and adrenals, guys, but it's also always the bowels.
Early 90s.
We're in a world where now we can almost say it's a whole friggin' body. I mean, now it's the glands, now it's the pituitary, now, it's just on and on and on. We got a lot of, help to offer people, but we got a lot of sick world here. This is a sick world, I don't know. Diagnosed in late 2012 with liver cancer. Are we surprised?
No.
And hepatitis, Hep C. I'm sure he didn't do what we would do for it. So he probably went interferon or some chemotherapy type. Interferon, oh my God. I mean, these things never work, and yet they keep using the same old things. It's like automatic. I don't want to think, I just want to invest. I had a medical doctor call me up one day from San Diego, and he said, listen, I love what you're doing. I got your book. He said, I love it. I want to go raw. And I run a hospital in San Diego. I go, wow, that's pretty cool. He said, my dad is a top cardiologist over there in Tampa. And he said, can I come sit with you for a few months? And he said, I heard you had a school. I want to come to it. Sure enough. I think I told you, most of you, that story anyway. And he came and he sat beside me. And but he first came to class here, and we had the herbs for everybody. And he kind of walks in like this. When I first met him, I said, "Hey, Doc, how you doing? Remember that one?" Yeah. And we gave him a little test of what protein does with kidney pain. You get and the best way to teach your clients is how I taught this medical doctor. Take them off of all the proteins and everything for a week or two. That's all you need to do, and then go have a protein meal, especially when they're in pain. See what they're going to experience. That's enough, because when they experience it, it's actuality. It's in real time to them. We can tell everybody anything,
I tested it on myself. I ate a little piece of scallop, and if you look at your acidosis list, the highest acid is scallop.
Is it?
And I
Really?
said it was small little piece, and I was getting
Wow. Yeah. You got to. Yeah, you got to be careful with that. I forgot what I was going to tell you. What he said. I forgot what that was. He has one large tumor on one side and a small tumor cluster on the other side. Experimental type of chemo, here we go. Experimental type of chemo was put directly into the liver. That's the latest thing anyway. Yeah. In January, of course, it took him down. Of course, in February, Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. We were talking, and I brought him over to the house. And he spent the night with me, and we had fun talking and rapping. And he said, you know, he said, we just sit around figuring out what to invest in. He said, that's all we did. He said, I'm so happy to be away from that. Now, that was a spiritual medical doctor. Because he was a little doper, but still. His dad had cancer, and he called me up. He said, I'm in Tampa. He said, you get any weed? I said, what? He said, I can prescribe it all day long in California. He said, my dad needs some. Funny. In February, the doctors injected radiation pellets into the liver again. Well, chemo didn't work. What else were they to do? This poor lad. SAD diet and junk food his whole life. No kidding. Low self-worth. Closed anger issues. Well, of course, it's the liver. We know that, right? So it's always going to be anger issues. A smoker, a drinker. Well, you know, what are you going to say? You've been warned over and over and over, even by the medical profession, about smoking and drinking. I'll tell you, it's just been warned over and over again. I don't know what these people think. Presently has started daily green smoothies, more fresh fruit, and doing some salads and steamed veggies. This is a case of being 100% raw. Forget anything cooked. And forget patting him on the back and saying, well, we'll go slower, we'll be nice. This guy ain't got much time. Get after him. This is a serious case here. They just about terminated his life. And of course, what hits the liver hits the kidneys. What hits the liver hits your brain. I don't care if they put it in as pellets. I don't care how they put it in. Chemo is going to get into that bloodstream some way. The medical team will confer with him in a week. Let us get together. Confer. Oh, I love that one. And let him know the current state of his condition. If that's not as obvious as a Mack truck hitting him. Is bloat, something emotionally as well as physically, totally focused, Okay. What are you going to do? I'm going to put that dude on a 100% grape fast. I'm going to put him on grapes and grape juice. I'm going after him right now. I might do it a week before I put him on the herbs, but I'm going after this dude. I might put him on the 2-week kid, put him on a grape fast. I'm going now. I'm not going to wait because this dude ain't got long to live. Next thing will be kidney failure's coming, and then he's done. So right now, you got to grab this guy and get him. But let's wait till they get done conferring. I mean, we don't wait, do we? Do we sit and wait? Hell no, we're going. You know, come on, let's go. What's wrong with right now? Right? I'll just start this tomorrow. Well, what about right now? You know, because these people are in trouble, and the path they chose. Now, I want you to remember this. These are souls with bodies. So if he leaves his body, okay, he's going on his journey. So don't get trapped that way. It's the pain and suffering that this man is going through that's sad, but it's karma. So remember that. You got to remember that. You got to have a way to protect yourself emotionally, because it can get overwhelming. I cry all the time, and I get angry all the time because of what's coming into us. After a while, enough's enough. And it's just that we're not standing up enough. It's like that FDA guy sitting up there, standing up there telling everybody, we're going to violate your rights. You don't care. You don't care, do you? Nobody seems to care. That's the problem. The whole room stood set up and said, get your butt off that stage, and if you violate our rights, we're coming after you. But people aren't strong that way here on this planet. They're weak. The governments, the foods, the dairymen's associates, the cattlemen's associates, all these people have sucked the energy right out of people. Acidified them, broke them down, and now everybody's herd cattle. Herd them right into the chemotherapy booths. Only your spiritual people break loose. You notice that? Or some of those souls that are just hanging on the edge and fear gets them. I'll do anything. Anything. And that's the problem. They like to come to us after they've done everything else, and now their life's, resting basically on our hands. And I don't put up with that. Because of states, governments, and reality. Reality is you created the problem. Let me help you unwind it. It's like any good master that will help you to get yourself back to God consciousness. They're not going to be in the way. You must come through me. No, you're the one. It's you that is God. So, on this case, then you're going to go into the liver formula, aren't you? I would go into the liver formula a little bit, but you want to be a little careful there because you're mainly after what system right now?
Lymph.
You're after the lymph system big time. You don't care if that liver's working or not working because you're not going to, unless you get the lymph moving and get the tumors out, it won't matter. So, number one, always, lymphatics, lymphatics, lymphatics. Yes?
And he'll still be on the grapes? Is he still on the grapes then at this point?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would run this dude probably, I'd see if he could handle 10 days, but I'd be wanting to go for that 40.
Did you say grape or grape juice?
Either one or both, actually. I had a young girl come in the office one time. She was 22, and she brought her friend in, was 21 years old. And I said, well, how come you're coming in to see me, ladies? And she said, well, I've got an egg-sized tumor on my right breast. Sure enough, 22 years old with an egg-sized tumor. So I'm talking about the lymph system, explaining to her so she'd understand what's up, and tell her about her right kidney and everything. And I get on the raw, and we'll get this, start pulling that lymph to get this tumor out of it. And I said, we could use black sap if we needed to, but let's just, move it. I said, but you also could go on a 40-day grape fast. And I was just telling about some cases we had on the 40 days. They said, no, think about it. So her and her friend left. Well, I didn't see them for a couple months. They came back in, and I said, how you ladies doing? She said, we went on that 40-day grape fast. Her friend went on it with her. She said, you know what, we felt so good, we're going to do another one. And oh, by the way, this tumor's half gone. That's good. If they just forget getting a biopsy, who cares? Who cares if you have a damaged cell in the breast? You probably do. Who cares? Why go in and traumatize tissue or compromise lymph drainage even more? This is the problem. Everything they do seems to compromise your wellness. That's not a wellness modality. Okay. So what else are we going to do to this lab? We're putting them on a grape fast right now. We're going after this because some people don't have long to live. And the next thing is like this one case where the kidneys are shutting down. Well, we were at lunch. And the one waitress, her son is a YouTuber. And when we walked in last year, she went, oh, yeah, she went crazy, And it's like, today she came up and she says, that lady just got married 2 weeks ago and they're about to bury her husband. He's in hospice. He had prostate cancer and it's all through him. The chemo and radiation, And now he's in kidney failure. Well, guess where the problem originally was? In the kidneys. He's been in kidney failure for years. That's what they don't get. And that's what you guys get, and that's puts you a mile ahead of that. And that's why I preach on the YouTube. Forget about academics, guys. You don't have to be an avid smarty. Because again, if you try to get too much knowledge, you'll lose the simplicity of this. And then you'll lose your ability to be a good healer. Always keep it simple, and you'll be happier, and they'll be happier. Put the blame where the blame goes. Rest it on the client. Their journey. You got your own body and your own journey to take care of. You're just being a healer in this journey. You ever notice the healing? When you become a healer, it's about your last lifetime, by the way, guys. Would that be good?
Yeah.
I thought you'd like that. That's cool stuff. And you want to start, we'll talk about this Thursday afternoon, what you want to start thinking about. Making this your last journey at this level. You'll appreciate that, let me tell you.
Are you going to put it directly on the plate check?
I would.
Rather like 5 days.
Maybe. I have to look at his case, but I'm telling you, this guy's got tumors popping everywhere. He's in liver failure, probably a kidney failure. You'd have to look at his creatinine.
Try for 10 days.
Wow. I haven't seen that, but that's, anything's possible, I guess. I think it's probably better to go slow always, but I I mean, when you get these near-death people, I just don't go slow because what do you got to lose?
She was throwing up like stuff.
Oh, in just a few days?
Just after 2 days.
My God, think how toxic that person is. He said he had a client throwing up after 2 days, black matter out of her lungs. It generally takes a little longer to get that out, and then she went paralyzed on the floor. Remember I told you that case? They're paralyzed in the bathroom floor, throwing up black matter out of the mouth. Like, exact same stuff. Are we good? We're cleaners. We get in there and clean that out. You know, the state never comes in and asks me, what do you do? And say, I'm a janitor. Is there a problem with being a janitor? I'm cleaning sewer systems. Is that okay with you? Yeah. I mean, come on. We can play their game, can't we?
Doctor.
Ooh, you know what? He said they can't die if they're really toxic like that. I won't say no. But I'm going to say I've had them on the floor, paralyzed, throwing up black stuff, and they didn't die on me.
Dr. Morse.
Thank God.
So would you put him on the GI broom at the same time as well after the
Everything.
Everything?
GI broom, definitely. You're going to open this cat up because you hit it right on the head. We got colon issues. We're going to go with that GI broom. We're going to go stomach and bowel, whatever he needs to get him moving. We're going to go after lymphatic 1 capsules, or a lymphatic capsule would be good, and kidney capsules. On the tincture side, well, she's already had. On the tincture side, we're going to kidney number 2. We're going to go down to, what else could we go? We could do lower circulation on that one. We could. Don't need to do blood circulation right now, but you could if you wanted to help bring in some good flavonoids and healing power to that liver. Yeah, we absolutely could do that. Inflammation joints, you could use that one. Definitely would be an excellent take.
What about the radiation and what does he do with the color?
You can do radiation exposure on some of these cases, absolutely, or power them up with some green drinks. Green drinks on the liver. A little strong. I'll say this, if you're going after liver cleansing, when you do a green drink, throw a lot of beet juice in it. Remember we talked about that on the YouTube? I'm telling you, if you ever want to go on a beet juice fast for 3 days, go.
The last one, she does circulation.
Beet juice fast.
Radiation exposure.
It'll pull your liver and feel like you're pulling your kidneys right out.
If they
You
can
know
afford
who.
it.
I'm telling you, you're talking about strong. You know, I did a 3-day beet juice fast and I used biota. Because I was in the health food stores at the time, and I didn't really juice a lot of raw. I can't imagine a raw beet juice fast for 3 days. I mean, it's that powerful on kidneys and liver tissue. So a lot of beet juice in with some green juice would be appropriate to give you a little buffering because that's strong stuff, let me tell you. And you can get too strong. I think you can compromise a person's situation by going too strong, absolutely.
I remember when you said about the 3-day beet juice fast, and I was thinking of that, and I drank just like tons of beet juice, and just like puked everywhere.
Well, you know what, there's one thing is I don't lie. I mean, if I can help you avoid a problem, let me do that, because I have no purpose to steer you wrong. But it's just strong stuff, you know. You're playing with the strongest principles of nature, even though they don't realize it. Look what can be accomplished with fruit diets and green drinks and stuff like that. This is real power of nature, baby. And add the herbs with it, I mean, this is stronger than what they comprehend. Putting them together, package is complete. Good question. Well, you know what I try to do is to say, go ahead and take, since it's all raw anyway, just take all your supplements with your foods. The GI room, I think you ought to separate that and do that an hour after or an hour before. You know, give time for your food to digest a little bit if you're going to use the GI room. I only recommend the GI room once a day, but you can do it 2 or 3 times a day, who cares?
Do you prefer morning or evening?
Do what?
Do you prefer morning or evening?
You know what? I don't really care, to be honest with you.
Get it down.
Exactly. Some lady the other day said, I'm doing mine at night. I said, okay. Maybe it did more chance to work. You know, what's the difference between the GI room I'll get you that. What's the difference between the GI broom and other intestinal cleansers? Loaded with astringents. And astringents are those lemons that suck on the mucosa. Pull. Those are the lymphatic herbs. But they don't put a lot of the astringents in herbology. They don't put that and link that in with the lymphatic herbs. They're a separate category. Grab those and bring them into the lymphatic categories. Because its astringent principles is why we like the fruits over the vegetables. That's one reason. What's the other reason? Fiber. Tons of fiber to break down. Look at the difference between a Homo sapien teeth, GI tract, and a herbivore teeth and GI tract. I mean, I think when you start analyzing the vertebrates, it becomes quite obvious why each species eats different food. It's only the Homo sapien that's confused. We're the only ones confused in nature what to eat because we migrated out of tropic zones way back when. So we're confused because we've had to survive in hostile environments to the Homo sapien. We don't have anything aggressive to us that would defend ourselves against life. We do know how to make weapons. Yep. But, what's that one show on there? Guns? I don't know. It's a wild show on TV where they build guns and they build these big guns. Wow, geez. They got the girls with the big guns. They have a guy from Iraq. This is an Army Ranger. This guy's been everywhere. I won't tell anybody. So this guy brought back a shell. And I don't know what millimeter it was. It was a big shell. And he asked one of these guys to build him a gun for it. So they did. They built him a gun. So after they got it built, the guy's building it said, who's going to shoot it? Not me. Not me. And they made this guy shoot it. Not the young lad from Iraq. And he gets up there and he's going, no, I don't want to do this. But they had a camera on him and he did. And woo. That was amazing power that had in him. So this young lad stepped up from Iraq and said, you got my gun done? And he did that. Kaboom. You know, he's like, that was good. You went up and did another one. You guys have, you know what, a skill, brother. Yeah.
Dr. Ward, how long would someone stay on the GI broom? How long?
That's a good question. How long on the GI broom? We only use 1 to 2 bags of it. Some of you guys have been using it quite often. I don't think none of it's hurtful, so I don't think there's a amount of time. But I would say, use a couple bags should be plenty. You don't have to go crazy over that. Once you get that wall cleaned off, you're really about inside the wall. You can clean the wall off with fruits and vegetables and your stomach and bowel number, whatever, and your lymphatic 1 capsules. You're going to clean that wall off. You're going to reach into the bowel pockets and clean them out. I want to reach through that bowel wall into the interstitial, in other words, the areas around the cells, and get that lymph moving. So that's why I created that form, to try to open that doorway. Because when you get what's up, what we have to figure out is how fast can we get these people to get their lymph filtering, for one. We got people that don't filter for months or years, and so, that's scary. Now, we could be missing something. Maybe we'll find one of you guys will stumble over something we overlooked and yeah! So we don't know. That's the beauty of having all of us as a team. Because then we can put all this in motion to where we're like thinkers. And that's the part about these other guys out there. They need to join the wagon and become like thinkers. So we as a one go after. We can argue fruits and vegetables, but when you're detoxing people for real, you know what's real. It's in your face, the difference between fruit detox and vegetable detox. There's no vegetable detox. Even fruit at the point you might have to go into some water fasting. But at least the fruit has the magnetics and the astringents. Yeah.
Do you do like an adrenal and thyroid glandular at the same time? Or
good question. I would at the same time. We do the parathyroid glandular for 1 bottle, add the kelp formula. I just get kelp, health food store or wherever. And I do 2-3 times a day on the kelp. That'll give her the calcium and the iodine to pop. Yeah. What? Talking about that case?
Or no, any case, so you
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can have,
Oh,
you can
yeah.
have multiple glandulars.
Oh, it's going, yeah, you can.
So you could
Now,
have
a lot of these,
adrenal
like standard
glandulars
process,
too.
carries their own glandulars. I mean, they can have multiple glandulars in one formula. I don't know. I like power hogging.
I don't think you will.
If you have someone that has high potassium levels who's been doing detox, is that due to eating all the fruits and vegetables, or is there
I still say that goes back to the adrenals, sweetheart.
adrenals?
I think that's the adrenals. Because remember, you see that in dialysis all the friggin' time. And what's up with dialysis? This is going to be your tougher cases because the biggest, exactly, acid stripping the blood. I mean, these guys are nuts. And I've had a lot of clients, I say, are you still peeing? Well, I was until I went into dialysis, and now I'm not peeing anymore. Well, that's your problem. Because you've got to pee to filter it. So our balance is that their procedure is destroying the very thing we're trying to rebuild. So when we go in with raw foods, guess what happens to their potassium levels and phosphorus levels? Goes up. So now the medical doctors are freaking. They're asymptomatic totally. They're not going to stroke or heart attack. But they tell them they are. So it's a delicate balance there because they're on a very toxic procedure. Remember I told you about the nurse that was a dialysis nurse and she got sick from dialysis. Her medical doctor said, get out of there, it's toxic. It's like pathology, very toxic place. Histology. Yes?
I have a client sort of similar. They have hepatitis C.
Mm.
He's 35 years old.
Common.
And he's committed to the program for 16 weeks.
Oh.
And he's been on the liver test for 10 weeks.
Wow.
I'm trying to figure out where I should take him from here and whether that's a...
Good question. Okay, this guy's Hep C. He's been on the liver for a while. He's been on all that. On these, you got two things to look at. You got the inflammation of the liver from acids. What in your blood work do you remember that you look at to determine how bad that part is? Liver enzymes. And they're ALT and AST in your blood workup. And it's also called alkaline phosphatase. All three of those principles you're going to look at. That gives you an idea of how bad his liver's doing. The other side of this is viral loads. I could care less what the viral load is. How bad's the liver? Because a viral load, you can have HIV viral load and not have AIDS. Or you can have HIV viral load with AIDS, right? You can have either one. The same thing with Hep C, the same thing with everything else. Virals are antigens. Virals like weaknesses. That's their job. They're magnetically polarized to weak cells. That's part of the universal immune response offered up by nature. And these cells are tagged. See ya? Because nature doesn't support weaknesses. And that's that little syndrome of boy in the bubble. That's where the human being is going. You notice? They're so toxic, the adrenals are so low, there's no immune response anywhere hardly in kids. So you're going to have little boy in the bubble syndrome where you got them in a bubble because they can't handle anything. That's why I say get your kids out in the woods. Get dirty. Get yourself built up in natural immunity. I would keep going with that liver formula. 16? Okay, 75 and 216. She's way too high. She should be around 16 to 25 on both of those. So her 200 is real high. There's a lot of inflammation in that liver. So you're going after that. Well, what else are you going after? What's causing that? Is the liver causing the inflammation?
No.
No, it's her lymph system causing the inflammation. Now, is her blood causing the inflammation?
No.
She wouldn't be alive long enough, would she? If your blood's acidic causing inflammation, you probably feel it for, what, 3 minutes? Boom, you're gone. You cannot acidify the blood. That's what freaks me out. That they know that quite well. Emergency rooms are clued into that baby. Well, then why would you suspect blood work and everything when you have interstitial fluid? And you have acid elimination of cell waste. That's proven. Lactic acid, uric acid, boracic acid, carbonic acid, phosphoric acid. There's a lot of acids produced at all levels, even in the Krebs cycle. So how does your body deal with those? Can't convert all acids to base, like in carbon dioxide. See, so I'd keep going after those kidneys and the adrenals. That's where the problem is. Clean up those valves, go on that GI broom more, keep going stomach mouth, and you're going to keep them on these protocols, I would, until they're done. Until they're done. Even if you repeat the same herbs over and over, who cares? You're after the systems. They don't change medications very often. Why should we change our performance? And the only reason I do, I'm trying to get a regimen of more power and more power. I'm trying to get a movement like this, from a little strong to a lot stronger to a lot stronger. So I'm opening, and getting more aggressive down the line. But that's for us because we deal with a lot of extremely sick people. And this is one case. Gonna flip them into liver cancer if you're not careful. So just keep doing that. This is the person who's going to help do very well on a great fast. Very well. And I would put her on a great fast, or him.
I'm going to do it.
Even if you said, look, just give me 3 days. Can you give me 3 days of a grape juice fast? Or just grapes? Can you eat just grapes for 3 days? You can have all you want. You can eat as much as you want. Matter of fact, you can eat every hour. Did you do that? Yeah, okay. Now, when you get to the 3 days, if you're not very hungry, push that to 5. And if you can push that to 5, get excited and see if you can get up some self-discipline. Can you give me 10, sir? You know? And try to get them excited to go on. And to go for 10. Now let's go for 20. Give me 30. How about 40? You know, and you move them down that line till the next time they look around and their liver enzymes are down, they've got their health back, it's like, wow. Because after you know what to do, then what are you to that your client? You're a cheerleader. Go, 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 go. Because you know, and you've informed them. That's why the simplicity of this is vital, because everybody can understand what sewer systems are. Everybody can understand the way we understand the body in a simplistic manner. That way you've caught them. You've caught them. And then they are empowered. That's so simple. I can do something about that. In this case, they don't think they can do anything about it because it's too medical. That's such a bunch of crap. It's unbelievable. But that's the way man is. They go running to medical doctors. That's the problem. There's no curative value there. It would be okay if they admitted it up front. Listen, we can't cure you. This therapy is probably going to kill you. That's all we know. Want to try it? All right, I'll do that. And then it's up to the client to go, okay, all right, Mr. Client. I think really, if you looked at this, what this is doing is making Homo sapiens wake up and empower the human consciousness with more awareness. You know, a lot of souls are going to come and go from this, but it's still, in the long run, the human consciousness is going to evolve, and it'll be more aware, and people will be more self-empowered, or souls will be.
Would you ask me, though, tell a client you maybe drink bottled grape juice, or make it easier on them and just...
Like nuisance, yeah. I mean, if that's the worst you can do, but yeah, nuisance would be the best of the worst. Yeah. But when you're sitting there facing, you know, the destruction of the liver and stuff like this, raw baby, go fresh, go raw. Here's the thing. There's the purist thinkers we're going to juice every time we need to take a drink. That's not real in the real world. And these people are sick, and you're not going to have them standing up there juicing all the time whenever they need something. And realistically, people that do that stop doing that. So what you want to do is juice for a couple of days, put it in a glass jar, tight with lid, and put it in the refrige. Because you've got to also realize they need time to rest and everything else. Realistically, you'll burn them out, and they won't juice at all. And this is common what you see out there when it comes to juicing. Too much time, pain in the ass, you got to clean the juicer.
About the juices that are in the bottles in the stores, you know, they're already in glass, all that. I've tried that before. I did like about a week on those juices. I got extreme burning in my head. Nothing I've ever gotten before on any of the fresh juices. So I would not recommend that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like the fresh meow.
Just wasn't even close.
You just can't match that. You might tap into some frozen, you know. Yeah.
It's Dr. Mark.
There was a case in liver cancer that also says lymphoma cancer as well, which is tiny, and I know it's lymphatic, but you also look at spleen and bone marrow in this case, or
not so much. I mean, you could. You would look at the white blood cells. He's asking about, this case also has lymphoma. Would you look at the bone marrow? You look at the bone marrow of the spleen, it's always nice to get used to blood work. So when you're looking at the white blood cells, if they're low, that's when you're going to go thinking, ooh, let's go to the bone marrow, or let's clean the spleen, and let's look at the platelets, and let's clean the bone, let's clean the spleen and see if that'll do it. If that doesn't do it, you know you're right into the bone marrow. That's a biggie.
Yeah.
So, even though we call it liver cancer, what kind of cancer is it?
Lymphatic.
It's lymphoma. All right, we have melanoma. What kind of cancer is that? Lymphoma. I'm telling you, every cancer is a lymphoma. I don't care if it's lung, brain, whatever we call it. It's just location, location, location. There isn't a separate cancer. It depends what cells are involved. So what? Who cares what cells are being damaged? The fact that they're being damaged, what's doing that? We got fancy names for different types of cancer. Oh, this is a rare cancer, man. Okay. All right. I mean, it's like, you know.
In my case, the HERCC, I can't even pronounce it. Is that the same idea? The
Yeah. Well, I mean, any factor, he's asking about a certain effect. You can expect any of your stats to be out of sync when you got inflammation in a particular area, no matter what they're looking at. Whether it's the C8 reactive proteins, it doesn't matter what you're looking at with that. I think and they have new markers every day, and I don't keep up with it. There's some of that I can't answer to you because I don't really care. You start getting more stuff in there, and you lose your spirituality. You start using your mind too much, guess what you lose? Your awareness. And that's what you have to realize. You got to get out of your mind for a while. Use it when you need it. Have it as your friend, but not as your master. And that's what you hear in spirituality all the time. Get rid of the mind as the master. You become the master. And that's the difference. So the more this clogs, the less spirituality you have because you're trying to figure out what caused that. That's just another, so if you keep it simple, you'll realize that acidosis, no matter where it is, can create different factors in the blood to show up. And some doesn't show up at all. You can be full of tumors and have perfect blood work up. You can have cancer all through you and have perfect blood work. We see that all the time. Yes?
If someone has been on a thyroid medication for, say, 20 years, do you need to work with a doctor?
Great question. With that? Great question. You can tell them to, which I would, for the sake of Mr. State, Mr. Whoever, who has no clue. They're out to protect the health and well-being of their citizens, right? And yet they license the most killing machine of all times, and they shut down those people that are the only healers on the planet. That sounds like something's reversed here. If you're on a thyroid or steroid medication for a long time, you should titrate. Titration is the slowly backing off. And I always tell them, if you want to do this, go to your medical doctor. If you want to do this, go half a pill for a while. When you start with the glandulars, if you notice it's too strong, then come off of it if you want. But ask your medical doctor, okay? But you can suggest that it would be better if you went off slowly. Just don't stop cold turkey if you're going to stop. And some people, as soon as they start your program, that's it. They stop their meds right off. Most of them have not a problem one. And this is particularly true with high blood pressure medications and things like that. You're not going to see much of an issue with that. Long-term use of say, levothyroxine or Synthroid, the most common sources of T3, you're going to see. And by the way, T4 also Armor. Dr. Jensen thought Armor being natural T4, natural thyroxine, that would help the thyroid work better. So when I met him, I said, are you kidding? And his wife was already a mess from taking it. A mess. And that's how I met Dr. Jensen. He actually brought his wife to see me. I couldn't believe it. And he didn't realize that you can't take even a natural hormone. Sorry. And look at the latest, the bioidentical steroids. Look, I just designed this for you. God. I mean, these people are wacko. I mean, you don't realize. You've got to realize that you take it, your body quits making it. You're putting yourself deeper into hell now when you do these. You've got to learn health. Well, that's why we're here. We're here to get that information out. And if they can't stop millions of us,
What would be the difference between armored thyroid, natural T4, and a thyroid glandular, which is also tissue?
Natural T4, armor, and what else?
And a thyroid glandular.
One's a hormone,
Okay.
and the glandular has no hormones in it. It's just the gland itself desiccated.
Okay.
There's no hormones involved in that.
Okay.
And that way, and it's like, don't mean to pun the word, but like a stem cell thinking, in that like treats like excites like. You see a buddy that's liking, you go, hey man, we're friends. That's like. And that glandular excites the cells to produce their own. Where the other is the hormone itself. And that is, you never want to do that. Our job is to get the cells healthy again. And what breaks them down? The lymph system, acidosis. The blood's not going to break you down. If your blood's breaking you down, you're just not going to live long enough. Doesn't matter. So it's that other fluid that dominates the human body. Hello. The one they fail to show in body exhibits. The one they fail to show on pro anatomy physiology charts. I don't know what's up.